トライセップス魔法バリスタナックル。トライセップス魔法だ。聞いたことねえぞ。ふざけてんのか。何度も言わせんじゃねえ。てめえと俺じゃ勝てねえ。
Seen a smug little chump run his mouth in front of a goated anime character just to get folded in seconds? Anime is packed with scenes where trash talking goes sideways pretty fast. Here are some of the best moments when they trash talked the wrong guy in anime.
なあエミリア、怒りに身を任せる愚かな真似はせぬと思っていた。なかなかどうして間違いだった。致命傷を負わせた暴虐の魔王と認め命乞いすれば気が変わるかもしれぬぞ。
Some villains trash talk, others dig their own grave using their mouths. Emilia did both, and she did it while knowing that the man in front of her killed and resurrected a dude with a click. You'd think that would be enough of a warning, but Emilia decides to speedrun the worst mistake of her life, attacking Anos's mom. And just like that, she graduated from teacher to target. She torched his fan club, tried to kill the one woman Anos cherished most, and smiled while doing it. But Anos took her off her high horse in the most satisfying way possible. He erased her status as a pureblood and reincarnated her as the very thing she hated. He sealed the humiliation and cursed her to be reborn as a mixed blood forever. This was the kind of permanent damage that could not be reversed. You don't mess with the Demon King's mom.
もういいさ、龍炎。お前は恐怖を感じたことがないと言っていたな。
そうさ。お前の感情を見せてみろ。怒りか、苛立ちか。
お前はさっきから何を言ってるんだ
Coming in with pure disrespect is the moment when Ryuen learned that picking fights with quiet kids is a terrible life choice. Now, Ryuen really thought that he was the main character when he kidnapped Kei and started monologuing like a shonen villain, talking about power, dominance, class D trash, all that. But unfortunately for him, he trash-talked the wrong guy. Ayana Koji gave pure Terminator energy when he pulled up. He was completely emotionless, and his hands were certified by the gods. Quiet confidence just hits different. Rest in peace to Ryuen's pride. You had the audacity, but not the ability. Now, there are levels to this. This man has been stomping dudes and trash-talking like he's built for that, but here's the thing about Mikey. He doesn't talk much. He just waits for the exact moment to end your entire existence with one kick. Taiju talked all that good stuff until he found out why they call him Invincible Mikey. Bro stood up, took one step, and sent the man of God flying like he had just been kicked out of heaven. One kick. Mikey preached humility with his foot, baptized that man in asphalt, and reminded everyone that Tomon doesn't need numbers. They've got him. Taiju thought that he was a lion, but turns out he was just another dog who barked too loud. Next in this list is a fight that redefined revenge. Kaneki versus Jason in Tokyo Ghoul. Jason really thought that he was that guy, the self-proclaimed apex predator. He absolutely dominated our boy, trash-talked and tortured him as if he was some kind of a stress toy. But what he didn't realize was that the more he pushed Kaneki's limits, the more he was feeding a demon. The second Kaneki's hair turned white and that inner monologue hit, the entire atmosphere changed. Jason went from predator to prey in a heartbeat. Imagine getting your philosophy, your dominance, and your ego shattered, all in dead silence. That's what pure disrespect feels like.
泥三下が
何度も言わせんじゃねえ。
Here's a beatdown that came with a lesson. Let's talk about what happens when muscles meet magic with Mash versus Silva. Silva thought that this was a game of magic, but Mash pulled up like it was arm day, and Silva was the last set. Bro got hit so hard that he saw his own reflection across multiple flying metal shards. It was like Mash physically installed trauma into his bloodstream. The coldest moment was when Mash walks over, sits down like he just clocked out of work, and casually tells Silva if he's ready to take the rest of the hits. Bro turned a beatdown into a group fitness challenge. In a world where spellcasting is everything, Mash reminded everyone that sometimes the most overpowered ability is a perfect right hook.
一歩先を行く。
There are those exact moments where arrogance in a fight got humbled so hard that it probably needed therapy. I'm talking about Shido versus Gilgamesh. See, Gilgamesh has a god complex bigger than the Holy Grail, but standing in front of him is Shido, a regular guy with no noble lineage, no legendary bloodline, and barely any magical clout, and somehow Shido can calm that big bad boy down. Gilgamesh starts laughing at first, but that laugh fades really quickly when he realizes Shido's not backing down. Every time Gilgamesh pulls a new weapon from the Gate of Babylon, Shido calmly traces it, copies it, and shuts it down. Gil's smug attitude turns into disbelief as Shido overwhelms him, matching him blade for blade with sheer willpower. He's proving that a man with nothing can still defeat someone who believes he deserves everything. Call it fight, call it fate. Either way, Gilgamesh was cooked.
分かったよ。
待てよ。ふざけろよ。僕は悪くない。僕は悪くない。僕は悪くない。あ、そうだね。僕は化け物を狩る化け物。
Let's talk about what happens when a monster in a white suit runs into the holy trinity of pain in the fight between Emilia, Subaru, and Reinhard versus Regulus. The Archbishop of Greed seriously has a foul mouth, and he cannot shut up for even a second. He has to yap about how great he is and how others are nothing but trash in front of him. But when our We Don't Care team pulled up, it was over for Regulus. The three of them humiliated Regulus in the most satisfying way possible. Subaru, with no powers and infinite trauma, pulled up with a full strategy. Emilia, with more dignity in her pinky than Regulus has in all of his 79 stolen wives, iced him over as if winter came early. And then Reinhard jumped from the moon, made his entrance like a meteor, and treated Regulus like he was a rag doll. Bro got humbled quickly. In the end, he died as he lived, drowning in his own greed.
待て、僕を置いてくな。影山。なんだそれは。よし来た最大バリア。使ったな影山。結局お前も意識がないのか。じゃあなんだよこの力。
Here's the story of what happens when you run your mouth in front of the wrong Esper. Teruki I'm Him Hanazawa pulled up to Salt Middle School with hair full of ego and a chip on both shoulders. I've never seen an anime character as delusional as Teruki. He thought that he was the protagonist of the story and treated Mob like a background character. Meanwhile, Mob had exactly zero interest in fighting. Teruki went off, wrecked the whole school, blasted Mob through the walls, and gave his villain speech. And then Mob snapped. Literally, not out of rage, but sadness. At 100% emotion, he humbled Teruki so hard that he accidentally gave him a free haircut mid-air. And when Mob hit %, bro rebuilt the entire building atom by atom after obliterating it. Teruki came in, flexing his power, and he left questioning his purpose. Never pick a fight with someone who's trying not to fight, because when the quiet kid breaks his limits, even gravity starts apologizing. Liking the video so far? Well, now might be a good time for you to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks!
無駄でした。
よくやった。ナイスファイト。
またまたゴミがしゃしゃり出てきたわね。
ま、ちょっと待ってろ。今、珍海賊とやらをぶっ飛ばすからな。
聞こえてるのよ。私は深海の王、海の王。
つまんねえな。
Talking about nature apologizing, let's talk about a fight where the sky itself cleared out of respect. For most of the episode, the Deep Sea King was cooking. He trashed Genos, stomped the A-class, and monologued like he had already won an award. The man was delivering a full Shakespeare performance, flexing, roaring, drowning everything in rain and fear. And then Saitama walked in, mid-storm, looking like he just finished buying groceries. I mean, bro looked like he could not care less. But I absolutely loved how slowly he just raised a hand, yawned through it, and casually turned him into a fish donut in a single frame. And when the crowd doubted him, Saitama leaned into the role of a cheater just to save face for the other heroes. That's humility wrapped in maximum disrespect. Deep Sea King talked for 5 minutes and got silenced in 1 second. And Saitama didn't even use his dominant hand. It was, respectfully, legendary.
貴様の名は何だった？ルーク・バレンタイン。高速制御術式第3。体を変化させろ。お楽しみはこれからだ。化け物め！
And just when you think that no one can get disrespected harder, along comes Alucard, absolutely destroying Luke Valentine. You know you're cooked when your opponent doesn't even bother dodging. Luke Valentine showed up like he was that guy, talking spicy like he was about to drop the king of monsters himself. But Alucard was doing what he does best, vibing. From the jump, Alucard made it crystal clear that he was going to humiliate Luke and give him the kind of lesson that he would never forget. Luke started fast, but ended in parts. Got his legs shot off and still tried to talk tough like he had any hope left. Alucard stood over him like a horror movie villain, giving him every chance to be interesting. Luke's final humiliation was realizing that he was just a disposable pawn, so irrelevant that his own boss wouldn't even remember his name.
嫌な面だな。今王に向かって今なんと。動くな衛兵ども。王は俺の間合いの中だ。やろう、攻めようは俺の。動くなトルケル。剣を収めよう。さればこの比例は許そう。今だ、ウルトラ。
Up Up next, we have something that felt satisfying on a whole new level. Sometimes you don't need to shout, just wait in the back, blade tucked behind your tongue, and when the time is right, you'll get the last laugh. King Swain sat on that throne like his words could bend nations. Like the fate of Wales, of Canute, and of every life in that hall was something he could just casually toss into a fire and watch burn for fun. And Askeladd kept on playing the fool until the king decided to disrespect his dead mother and his entire tribe. Bad move, your majesty, because this man snapped, declared himself Lucius Artorius Castus, the descendant of Rome, and carved open the king's neck in front of the entire court like it was nothing. He didn't beg for his life, he gave it to Canute, to his people, to the future. Swain talked like a god, but Askeladd reminded him, in the end, that he bleeds like a man.
なんだあれは感激僕はさっきの100倍強い僕の親友をバカにしたことだ許せないやばい待て早まるな
And now we have an era when side characters thrived, and not only existed. Choji vs. Jirobo was one of those rare moments when the underdog finally stepped into the spotlight and obliterated it. You see, Jirobo made the mistake of disrespecting Choji's weight, his will, and worst of all, his friends. What followed wasn't just a battle, it was a transformation. For the first time, Choji wasn't comic relief. He wasn't the guy lagging behind or getting sidelined. He fought like his entire self-worth was on the line. He took the 3 colored pills, each one pushing him closer to death until he activated the forbidden butterfly mode. His final punch was a lifetime of loyalty, pain, and sacrifice packed into a single blow. Jirobo really lost in history after this much humiliation.
てめえをかわいそうとは全く思わぬ。その足が治癒するのに何秒かかる。治ったと同時にスタープラチナをてめえに叩き込む。
どうでもよいのだ勝った死ね
てめえは俺を怒らせた。
Next up, we have Jotaro showing Dio who the real boss is. This fight is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in its purest, most flamboyant form. While Dio's world is loud and theatrical, Star Platinum is a silent engine of destruction. One is a vampire with divine ambition, the other, a high school delinquent with fists sharp enough to cut fate. The brilliance of this fight is that ora 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 and mura 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 sound off. Honestly, nothing can top that. Dio stops time thinking that Jotaro is frozen, but then he sees it. A finger twitch, a bead of sweat. Jotaro's alive in the time that Dio owns, and that changes everything. It's also the little absurdities that make this fight legendary. Mid-fight, Dio somehow gets a fresh haircut and lip gloss. Blood physics ignores gravity, there's a steamroller, and through it all, Jotaro doesn't flinch. He takes beatings, feints death, and times his final blow with surgical precision. Dio really picked on the wrong guy because he's not Jonathan or Joseph Joestar, he is the Jotaro Kujo.
遠慮しないでかかってきなおう、んじゃあ行くぜ
早い高速移動魔法か
死に物狂いで魔法帝になるためだ Asta.
And now we have the moment that felt extremely satisfying early on in Black Clover. Asta versus Seke. Sure, this fight was pretty short, but it was sweet and it lives rent-free inside of my head. Seke was this cocky mage who was a bit too overconfident. He treated Asta like some NPC and trash-talked like Asta meant nothing to him. He even flexes his fancy bronze creation magic, Seke Magnum Cannonball, like it's some ultimate move. But when Asta pulls up with 0 magic, 1 sword, and all the smoke, One swing is all it takes. And suddenly, all of Seke's confidence melts into tears, disbelief, and public humiliation. Asta, the magicless outcast, just dismantled a noble who thought bloodlines meant everything. It's peak Black Clover energy. Effort always tops entitlement. It's shocking how this was just the start of Asta's journey, and he managed to pique the interest of a bunch of higher-ups just like that.
さてお前らどうしてくれようか。
あれ
おめえも悪魔大元帥なら潔く覚悟を決めろ。悪意しわれ。
Next is a holy war turned into a part-time fight. I'm talking about the showdown between our beloved Satan and Lucifer. Now, this is not an ordinary battle in the slightest. Lucifer thought Satan had gone soft. A joke. A has-been demon king turned into a minimum wage mascot. Oh, how wrong he was. Because when Satan hears that insult, when Lucifer dares to threaten his human co-workers, it's like something shifts inside of Satan. Suddenly, that fast food uniform ain't fooling nobody anymore. Satan charged up, ripped through every magical circle that Lucifer cast to slow him down, and delivered a punch so loud that it shut down the villain's Wi-Fi connections to his own ego. The panic in Lucifer's face made it even more satisfying. That was an HR violation from hell.
ざまあみやがれ。しまった。なんちゃって。はっ。がっかりしたかな。
Here's what happens when arrogance gives someone the aux cord and they play nothing but losses. You see, Vegeta had just come out of the hyperbolic time chamber, shredded, cocky, and dubbing himself Super Vegeta. And Cell, well, my man was mid-evolution, not even fully cooked, and still had the nerve to get cocky in return. The trash talk was premium. Cell straight up baited Vegeta into letting him absorb Android 18 by stroking his ego, and Vegeta, being the Saiyan embodiment of pride, fell for it like an idiot. The result, Vegeta's final flash, a visually gorgeous beam, actually blows half of Cell's body to dust. But, of course, Cell just regenerates it like nothing happened. All that monologuing, all that posing, only for Cell to tank his strongest move and say, "Is that all?" Vegeta went from a predator to a punching bag real fast. And to this date, Cell vs Vegeta still strikes a nerve.
100% スマッシュには耐えうる男。セブンス。 冬緑やフォースフィフス黒ムチ
小細工を皆無だね。つまんねえ男になっちまったな。
気づかないうちに振動トレーニングでもしたか。ワン・フォー・オール・フルカウルデトロイト・スマッシュ。 全力だ。
Up next, we've got a rematch that's so one-sided it felt like a loading screen. Deku vs. Muscular Part 2. You see, back in Season 3, Muscular was a walking nightmare. Deku had to push himself to one for all 1,000,000% just to survive, breaking every bone in his body to protect Kota. Fast forward to Season 6, and the vibe is completely different. Deku just appears, says Detroit Smash, and one punches the same villain who almost ended him last time. Muscular came in thinking that he would pick up where they left off, but to Deku, it was extremely personal. Deku wasn't the scared kid from back then anymore. From frantic rookie to stone cold hero, Deku showed not just power, but growth. And Muscular learned the hard way that he shouldn't have messed with Deku in the first place. Deku ended the conversation entirely.
領域内で発動した付与された術式は
ここに来たのは半分は戯れ。だが突きつけられたこの悲願の差
最も有効な手段。こっちも領域を展開する。
愛すら
領域展開無料空所
Sliding into the domain of absolute flexes, let's talk about Gojo versus Jogo, the fight where arrogance got absolutely humbled. From the get-go, Jogo had this delusion that he was hot stuff, pun not intended. A cursed spirit with volcanic power, massive ego, and enough destructive firepower to level a city block. But unfortunately for him, he picked a fight with Satoru Gojo, the man who treats reality like a plaything. And the moment Gojo appears before Jogo is the moment you realize how different they are in terms of power. Every attack that Jogo throws was shrugged off like an annoying itch, and just when Jogo was about to have the upper hand, Gojo casually brought him inside of his domain. Just to explain what was happening, bro had an infinite aura, and then came the real flex, unlimited void. In a flick of his fingers, Gojo activated a domain so overwhelming that Jogo couldn't even process his thoughts. I'm pretty sure Jogo never forgot the ride through reality that Gojo sent him on. Next up, we've got the fight that proved one thing loud and clear. You cannot imagine your way out of getting humbled by Kenpachi Zaraki. Gremmy, the Quincy with god-tier imagination, could literally create anything with a single thought, including a meteor that looked like it was about to wipe Soul Society off the map. And for a moment, it really felt like the apocalypse had arrived. But then Zaraki stepped up and treated that meteor like a balloon, and that's all it took. One swing from his newly revealed Shikai, and the meteor got deleted. Gremmy was wild and confident at first, imagining himself as the strongest, until Zaraki's power broke through the laws of physics and Gremmy's mental limits. The moment Gremmy called Kenpachi a monster, it was already over, because when the guy who can imagine reality itself calls you terrifying, that's different. That's a legend.
俺のバネバネの身の力からは逃れられねえ。まさかそれじゃ死なねえよな。ちょっと！ホッパー！ベラミが消えた！あいつらが友達だって？何が黄金鏡、何が空島だ！
パンチの打ち方を知ってるかって？
あばよ、麦わら！
おい、冗談よせよ、ベラミー。
Let's into the realm of dreams versus delusion, because what Bellamy did wasn't just pick the wrong fight, he mocked the very idea of dreaming big. And in One Piece, that is basically asking for karma to show up with big brass knuckles. From the moment Bellamy opened his mouth, it was clear that he didn't respect Luffy, called him a joke, laughed at the Sky Island, and treated the Straw Hats like they were just kids chasing fairy tales. Meanwhile, Luffy said nothing. That alone should have been Bellamy's first red flag. But Bellamy really crossed the line after stealing Mont Blanc Cricket's gold. That's when Luffy completely lost it. One punch, one lesson, one unforgettable imprint of Luffy's fist across Bellamy's entire skull. Lesson learned. You don't mock people's dreams in One Piece, not unless you're ready to become someone else's lesson. And with that, we're wrapping up our list of when people trash-talked the wrong guy in anime. I know that I must have missed something or other, so drop your favorite moments in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more juicy anime content. I'll catch you in the next one.